Welcome back to Big Blue Lifers podcast, episode number 2. We are in the house. We're excited about this, man. Like Jess and I have been saying routinely since we started this venture, man. This is a dream come true for both of us. We love the Giants, man. Die-hard, lifelong fans. And we had a chance to talk to guys that love the Giants as well, people who are Giants columnists and former players. We got a lot of big stuff planned, so we're just excited about doing this. And we can talk Big Blue as much as we want. So we're excited, man. Jess, how you doing, brother? Good to have you back in the box, man.
It's good to be back. We've had a lot of stuff going on with the Giants this past week. We kind of had some poor timing about recording the first episode because, I think the next day they signed Jameis, and then early this week they signed Russ. So we got plenty to talk about. We might need to start moving this thing up earlier in the week or have some emergency pods. Man, we're a little late to the party. Everybody's already got their thoughts out there about Russ, but I'm happy to talk about it.
Cool part is we can do that any night of the week that we got to make sure we get ahead of stuff. Because honestly, all of the folks that we follow on Giants Twitter and whatnot, they do. When something drops, they're already hitting record already. So I need to be fluid like that sometimes. So to stay on top of things and be up to speed with what's going on in the world of the Giants. But man, a lot of stuff we're excited about, man. A lot of cool guests coming through within the next several weeks, man. We're excited about that. But like you mentioned, Jameis, he was my plan. He was my plan C, I think it was. I'm being honest about that, man. But I said, you know what? What he's going to always do is throw the ball downfield. He's going to utilize the middle of the field, something that honestly we didn't see enough of that last year. So neighbors, if you got neighbors or you plan to have Malik Neighbors in fantasy, if you plan that, you can go ahead and feel free to take him in the top 7 because he's going to have stellar numbers this upcoming season. And we can also talk about Russell Wilson, who I wanted to have him in there, not because he threw to the middle of the field, because he really doesn't. He's not really a big fan of that, but he brings some other qualities to the team, leadership-wise, recognition-wise in the pocket, things I think a mature veteran would help a young quarterback coming in from the draft to learn. So these guys kind of solved 2 needs for us. And then on top of that, our depth chart was chop suey for the past couple of years. So to have 3 quarterbacks, potentially 4 quarterbacks, good. This is great for us. People are making fun of us and making little comments and stuff, but they can't. I'm Teflon. Because I know that our depth chart was something that we needed to have, especially at quarterback. And we have that, and I'm confident about it. I think we can add some wins to our record last year, maybe even double it, and maybe even beyond. So what do you think about the Winston and the Wilson signings, man? How you feeling about it?
I'm very happy with it. I always thought I've seen a lot of people talking about everything the Giants have done in regards to quarterback. It's been reactionary. It's been desperate. None of this could have possibly been plan A or B or even C. And, I always thought that Stafford was completely unrealistic. I would have loved it. And there were moments where I was maybe getting my hopes up. I won't lie. But at the end of the day, I didn't ever really see that happening. We were really going to trade a second round pick for Stafford. Allegedly, we were going to give him another a 2-year, $55 million extension or something crazy. Rodgers, I feel like everybody's saying that the Giants quarterback room isn't greatly improved. I think that's crazy. I think it is a big step up compared to last year. But at the same time, it's not like Josh Allen was an unrestricted free agent. You're not getting Joe Burrow, Lamar, Herbert. You're not getting these guys on the open market. Baker Mayfield, a guy like Baker in his tier, hit the open market because he wasn't perceived as what he's kind of become. He was coming off a rough year with the Browns, rough year with Carolina, where he lost out on the starting job to Sam Darnold for a period. And that was when Sam Darnold was viewed as like one of the biggest busts in recent memory. So yeah, Russell Wilson, we're not getting like 2017, 2018 MVP convo Russell Wilson. That's not who we're getting. But either way, him and Jameis is a lot better than Daniel Jones and Drew Lock and then Tommy DeVito's Tommy DeVito. Now, I don't know what this means necessarily. We're going to be getting into this a little bit in terms of their draft strategy. If Shador is still there at 3, what do they do? But I think it is undoubtedly an improved quarterback room, albeit flawed. It is still flawed. Jameis is going to be Jameis. He's going to give you 300 yards and 3 touchdowns in a game, but he's also going to have like 3 interceptions. Russ, like you said, doesn't like to target the middle of the field as much. He's really only good at the deep ball at this point. He doesn't have the escapability that he used to. I'll get into it if you really want me to, Yusuf. I know I've been going on a little bit right now. But there's a bunch of stats that, aren't great for us as much as there are stats that are great for us. But I can get into those if you really want me to. But I'm going to throw it back to you right now because I've been going on a bit.
Yeah, it's all good. It's all good. I mean, this is a lot. I love a lot of what you said. I think that people that are talking about the desperation, if you read, if you listen to what if you believe what you read about the Giants' approach to Aaron Rodgers, and honestly, we talked about this recently on our flagship show, that the media is pulling strings and people are just biting it and not reading and not doing their own research. They're just accepting things as is, and it's like it's not accurate. If you believe that the Giants were lusting after Aaron Rodgers the way that I read every time I woke up, picked up my phone, I got a story about Aaron Rodgers and the Giants almost every day for I don't know how many weeks it was. And it's like, if you believe that stuff is true, then yeah, the Giants sounded pretty desperate. But I'm not really sure if we can say, no, what, this is guaranteed, absolutely the truth. I'm not totally sure. How do I know? Based on what? So I mean, so for me, I know Stafford was the number one choice. We proved that because we went after him immediately when we realized he was free. Darnold was somebody who I felt like if we had it, it would have been okay, but not at the price tag that he went to Seattle with. I wouldn't have wanted to do that. I would think it more like a 1-year deal and then bring in your rookie. That was my thought. You know what I'm saying? After that, then I'm in the Russell Wilson, Jameis Winston world. I feel like those guys can help us at least bridge the gap, which is all they're there to do anyway, and teach the young quarterback to come in via the rookie draft. Honestly, we don't have, like you said, 2017, 2018 Russell Wilson. We don't. You know what I'm saying? But there's a lot of narratives about him that weren't true either. He didn't stink in Denver. They had a lot of problems. They had a lot of problems on both sides of the ball. They had a lot of problems, and he was still throwing for almost 4,000 yards, even with those problems. I mean, his last year there was when Peyton kind of really gave him some run. He had probably his best season in Denver. Maybe not as far as the passing yards, it was less, but touchdown to interception ratio was the best one in Denver. So he wasn't stinking the joint up. That's the reason why Pittsburgh wanted him, because he was still throwing the ball at a high rate and being accurate and efficient about it. So I don't care what people say. I think we did good with getting these two guys in here, and I think it's going to mean, well, we can talk about what it means for the draft, because that's probably going to be our next question or two. But honestly, I think we did fantastic. Does it sound desperate? I don't feel that way. I mean, who's left that you want? I mean, Joe Flacco, he's not who he used to be. And that's kind of what you're left with. So, I mean, what else were we supposed to do? all of the guys that were backup quarterbacks, they got picked up early on in free agency. 1-year deals here, all across the board. Like Jarrett Stidham, all these guys, they got. What else can you do? Russell Wilson and Jameis Winston and Joe Flacco were all that were left, besides Aaron Rodgers, a 41-year-old who hadn't even decided what he wants to do yet. I don't think it's just. I think it's just playing the market and using what going what you have available to you. I mean, what else can you do? Am I right? Did that make sense?
Yeah. No. I mean, I do disagree that he was like really good in Denver. I think those stats are a little.
Say he was really good. So he wasn't as bad as people said he was.
No, but absolutely, he's not as bad as a lot of people. Like his downfall, not downfall. Trying to think of the word. His decline started really in Denver. Like there was 1 year where he was kind of a little banged up in Seattle. I think that was like his last year. He went to Denver and he hasn't really been that great. But he's again, like is this quarterback room better than it was last year? And I think it is much better. And I was listening to a lot of, like some of the podcasts and talk shows, and I'm gonna, I know he's a little bit controversial in the sports talk field, because he's one of these guys that people either love or hate. But Nick Wright on First Things First the other day said something that I feel like particularly the people who are being very critical of the Giants and these moves haven't really considered. There is a difference between getting the 20th best quarterback play and the 30th best quarterback play. The Giants the past few years, 2022 is a little bit of an asterisk year, but especially the past couple, particularly with Daniel Jones, who started a majority of these games, have been getting bottom 3 quarterback play in the entire league. Only like the Browns and the Jets have been like consistently as bad.
Panthers been down there too for a little while too.
Sorry?
Carolina's been down there a little bit too.
It is truly hard to judge the entirety of a team when the quarterback play is so terrible, which is why, I think there is something to the idea that, if a rookie comes in to just nothing, there's nothing good around him, which I do think Daniel Jones kind of had that, because outside of Saquon Barkley, the Giants didn't have anything. Dexter Lawrence wouldn't become Dexter Lawrence for years. They didn't even have Andrew Thomas yet. It would take a few years before a lot of the key pieces on the Giants became the key pieces on the Giants. And even then, for most of Daniel Jones's time here, Saquon was getting banged up. But the reason so many people were so protective and defensive regarding Daniel Jones is because there wasn't really anything around him to help him. But at the same time, a good quarterback can make bad pieces around him look better. And if Russell Wilson or Jameis Winston can just come in and Jameis can do what he did on the Browns last year, and all of a sudden, he's airing it out. He's trying his best to put these wide receivers in places to make plays, get big yards, have an explosive offense, something the Giants haven't had for years. If you look at the Browns receiver numbers before and after Jameis, all of a sudden now Jerry Jeudy looks really good. Who's their tight end there? It's not is it Austin Hooper? No, it's not.
No, you talking about in Cleveland?
Cleveland's tight end.
David Njoku.
David Njoku. I'm thinking a few years back now. Jesus, Austin Hooper. Where am I talking
Austin
about?
Hooper's I forgot where he ended up. He went somewhere, but I forgot where he went. But.
Yeah. David Njoku, had that surge at the end of a couple years ago with Joe Flacco. He's looking like a top fantasy option again with Jameis there for a stretch.
I'm not falling for that.
No, please don't.
I'm not falling for that one. I'm sorry. I'm
Like
not gonna do it.
Laporta or the rookie out of
Ew.
the Raiders. God, what's his name? I'm drawing blanks right now. My brain is like
Who?
fried. I don't know why. It was the Raiders
The
rookie
rookie for
tight
the.
end.
Oh, you're talking about out of Georgia. I'm blanking out the
Yeah,
man.
out of
It must
Georgia,
just be late, man. Because I know his name because
I know.
I had him in fantasy. Brock
Either way,
Bowers.
Brock Bowers, thank you. To target those guys in fantasy. But my point is, like, if Russell Wilson and Jameis Winston can give the Giants even just slightly below average quarterback play, with guys like Malik Neighbors, Darius Slayton, Theo Johnson, Wan'Dale Robinson, Tyron Tracy, and forget, if they add some pieces in the draft who could really pop, what that could do for this offense in Dable would be like, it could be really, really good. Like, there would be a huge difference. Like, one of the reasons this offense has struggled so much isn't even necessarily the true talent. Like, it's not like Daniel Jones lacked talent. It was his ability to read a defense and be decisive. We know Russell Wilson can read a defense. We know that he and Jameis are willing to throw the deep ball. They'll throw with anticipation. That's something Daniel Jones never really developed, never really, added to his skill set, added to his repertoire. And I'm going to read, you were talking about like the add a couple wins, maybe we double. I've got the obviously the official week by week schedule isn't announced yet, but we know who the Giants are going to be playing at home and away. So I'm gonna read these games out to you. I want you to tell me if you think,
Oh boy,
win or loss, do the Giants, assuming a halfway decent draft class, do you think that they have a real shot to beat these guys? Starting with at home, Dallas, Philly, Washington. Do you think now with Russell Wilson and an improved quarterback play that the Giants could maybe go toe-to-toe with any of those guys?
That's our first 3 games? That can't be our first 3 games.
No, it's not the first thing. We don't have like the week-by-week schedule yet. I'm just going home.
Okay.
I'm going to read the home games, and then I'm going to read the away games. We know who they're playing. We just don't know when they're playing these guys. But at home, obviously, we have our 3 home division games. Do you think the Giants, with improved quarterback play, could kind of go toe-to-toe with either Dallas, Philly, or Washington?
I think we can split with Dallas and Washington, but I think we're going to get swept by Philly.
I think I agree with that. Next,
we can split with the other 2.
Yeah. Next, home against the Packers. I think
we got a chance.
I think we got a chance. Jordan Love is very up and down. They don't have like that true dynamic number one wide receiver. Their best weapon is Josh Jacobs, and you think, with some of these additions, and again, when we talk a little bit more about the draft, an improved run defense, maybe I think we could theoretically have a chance in that game. Home against
I think we have a good chance in that game just because of the running back situation. What you call it's not there. AJ's moved on to Philly, and Josh Jacobs has not been able to stay healthy. And they have some issues at wide receiver with their consistency there. They brought in Miko Hardman, but that's not instilling confidence to me that the wide receiving core is just that much better than what it was last year. So I think we got a chance to win that game. Yeah, absolutely. Who else you got?
Home against Minnesota. For me, that's very dependent because like I know they have talent and they're gonna have the coaching edge, but what does JJ McCarthy look like? Obviously Sam Darnold came out of nowhere last year and lit everybody up. But what does JJ McCarthy look like? I'm gonna give the Vikings and that coaching staff their due diligence. I'm going to say no, even though it's at home for us, just out of respect for dude, these guys made Sam Darnold an MVP candidate. I think they can develop JJ McCarthy.
I don't disagree, but I'm on the other side of that. Just there's a lot of questions, and I'm a Michigan fan, so I love me some JJ. I won't let nobody talk bad about him in my presence. You know what I'm saying? But there's some issues going on health-wise. We don't even know where it's going to be at. There's a good chance Flacco may come in because they're not sure about McCarthy's health. I think we can win that game. Depending on when the game is, too, that plays a part, too. I don't know what week we're talking about, but just without knowing the week, I say we have a chance to win that game fairly handily.
Okay. Home against the Chiefs. No. No.
I need to see something on. I need to see something on defense that I haven't seen in quite a while, and I haven't seen it yet. So, no.
Home against the Chargers. I'm gonna lean no. Again, I think I just got too much respect for that coaching staff. I'm a big Herbert guy. I don't know about you. I'm a big Herbert guy. I think he's the 5th best quarterback in football. I think they're going to add some weapons. I think the Chargers are just going to be the better team.
I love me some Harbaugh. That's my coach right there. But there's some things that they've done, and I don't think it's a defensive situation. I think that we can hang with them from a scoring category. I don't think they can really stop what we do or what we had the potential to do. But when I think about guys like Lab McConkey, and then they got Mekhi Becton out there at guard too. Najee Harris and Hassan Haskins, they don't frighten me per se. Without question. I just don't know how we're going to handle that because I haven't seen it. So all I can really do is predict, which is what we're doing anyways. But it's really hard for me to do that. I feel like this is the kind of game that it's almost a push for me. If that could be my answer, I would say this game is a push. I don't know.
I mean, with what he got out of that defense last year for a good chunk of the season, top 3 scoring defense in the league, like it was, they were good. Again, I'm going to lean to the other team. I've got to see it from the Giants. I know I've seen more from the Vikings and that coaching staff. I've seen more from Herbert and what Harbaugh was able to get out of them last year. I'm going to lean Chargers. And then the last home game we've got against the Niners, that's another one where it's tough for me because they've just lost so much this offseason. But again, like, they have one of the best coaches in all of football. And I like Dable. I think he's a better coach than a lot of people are giving him credit for, particularly in the national media. But Shanahan is Shanahan. McCaffrey's McCaffrey. Again, I think a lot of this game is going to be dependent, similar to what you were saying about the Vikings, about when do we play them. If it's closer to the end of the year where McCaffrey, chances are he's going to break down. He's only had one fully healthy season in a while. Trent Williams getting up there in age. Is Ayuk going to be there? I think this is a bit more of a coin flip, if nothing else, because it's at home. But again, I'm going to give the Niners more credit. I think they win that game. I think, again, with the improvements we made, we give them a bit better of a fight. But I think the Niners win.
I think I'm concerned about maybe I don't have a reason to be concerned. But I'm kind of concerned about how Giants play tight ends.
Kittle, yeah.
Rousini that hasn't been great. I think that the numbers are on our side recently. So obviously we're doing better with that. The numbers I see, we're playing the Giants defense are playing tight ends a lot better. So I feel pretty good about that game. I'm not sure, man. That's a tough one for me. That's even tougher than the Chargers. I'm like, I don't know, because is McCaffrey coming back as his usual self? Because if not, and it's just Gorindo, which is a very strong possibility, we could win this game with strong defense. I feel like that about every game we play next year. The defense is going to be the linchpin because we don't need to go out and outscore anybody. We just need to defend and and limit, like we did back in the day when we talked about on last week's show about the Giants that we remember so fondly. Their defense, they limited offenses, and they did just enough on offense to win games. If we do that, I think we go in a lot more games than what people think or predict from us. But our schedule is tough, as you just highlighted already, so we'll see. But
all right, starting in the away games, we said, you know, the split with Dallas and Washington, lose both to Philly. So let's start with at Chicago. I think maybe we could win that game. I like a lot of the moves Chicago has made on the offensive line, really securing the interior of their front five there. But what's Caleb gonna look like? Is that defense really gonna lock in? I like Jalen Johnson. Who is it that they got there? Sweat on the outside. He's really good. This team was competitive for a good chunk of the season until that Hail Mary from Washington kind of just took the life out of them. But yeah,
I like our chances.
This is another game where this is one of the ones where I might even lean more towards us, but
this offense is super young.
Again, like we haven't. It feels weird for me to say because we haven't proven anything. I like the improvements we've made, but particularly,
I can't sit here and say we're going to lose every game because
I'm not sitting here acting like there's a couple games I'm going to be picking.
I can't do that.
I'm not trying to do that, but again, it's like I can't give us the benefit of the doubt.
I hear you. I think we can win. I think we can win this game, man. They read their O line, but I think their offense is so young.
Three away games here that I'm going to be picking us for. There are going to
be what's that? What's that?
All right. So we'll move a little quickly here. The next two away games listed are at Denver and at Detroit. I'm going to say we lose both of those. Detroit their roster is easily one of the best in football, but it will be interesting how their offense looks without Ben Johnson. Denver, I expect to continue having one of the best defenses in all of football. And Sean Payton's going to have that offense right. They're going to add some pieces there. I think we lose both of those. Do you agree?
If it's a defensive battle in Denver, I like our chances, but I'm more of a push here. I can't say they're gonna just blow us out. I don't feel that way about it. If it's a defensive battle, we got a chance in the Denver game. I don't like us against Detroit, no matter what happens. They're high powered on both sides. I got to see what we have to even think about tangling with that. So I'm taking the L in Detroit for sure.
And here's the next three. These are the ones that I think we have the best chance to win.
Okay.
Sorry.
No, I'm ready.
Dinner's catching me right there. At the Raiders, at the Saints, at the Patriots. I think we win.
I like all of those.
The Raiders are interesting to me because how is Geno going to look? But they don't have any weapons offensively. Outside of Bowers, and tight ends kill us, but I'm really going to need to see what they add in the draft. But, do they go for broke and add Gianti and just really lean into the running back tight end, killer duo there? The Saints are
we did great.
a mess. I think the Saints could be drafting number 1 overall next year. That's how much of a mess I think they are. And then the Patriots, I was a big May guy coming out, but they haven't done anything that really gives me confidence that, they're putting an older Stephon Diggs. Did they add Morgan Moses or something on the offensive line? He's 36, 37 years old, and he's not anything spectacular. It's not like they went out and added a premier lineman. They're really going to have to go heavy offense in the draft. And some of these guys, the draft is a poop shoot, it's a guessing game. And, that's the case for every team. But, free agency, you're theoretically getting some more proven commodities. So I think either way, I think last year we could have beaten the Patriots. And I think with the additions we made this year, none of the additions the Patriots have made have really blown me away. I think we could easily win that game. So for me, I think we could go from 3 wins to somewhere in that 6-7 range if we get a couple bounces our way. It seems to me like you think, a couple things go our way, we could be a 9-win team. Fighting for that wild card spot.
I think we could be an 8 or 9 win team. Honestly, I said it so many times last year. I was tired of my own voice. Those losses, man, a lot of them were way close. And I feel like a quarterback was the difference in nearly all of them. So I'm sitting here saying now we have that. Yeah, we're an 8 or 9 win team at the very least. I love how we played the Seahawks last year with Geno. And they had a way better O-line and more weapons than the Raiders have. We won by 9, and honestly, it really wasn't even that close. It was a lot more far apart than that.
Yeah, the score did not reflect how that game actually played out. Like we almost blew it, but I mean, there was essentially a 14-point swing on that first drive where we go for it our 4th and 1 on the goal, and Gray fumbled and they ran it all the way back. So you take 7, if something like that freak play doesn't happen, that's 7 points our way and 7 points off of them. So we win that game way more comfortably. But
oh yeah.
But I think some of the games that if you just look at the box score aren't quite reflective. There are some garbage time touchdowns for us too in there that made it look closer. I can't think of them directly off the top of my head, but I think one of the Dallas games, I think that second Washington game, those are the 2 off the top of my head that look closer than they really were, because we got some garbage time points. The Pittsburgh game, we got some garbage time points. And did we really think that Daniel Jones was about to go against that Pittsburgh defense, drive down the field, get that touchdown, get the 2-point conversion? Did we even convert a 2-point conversion all of last year? There are games like that where, yes, with better quarterback play, we're probably more in it. I don't necessarily know if we went. I think we definitely beat the Panthers with better quarterback play. That is a fact. We beat the Panthers. We smoked the Panthers with better quarterback play. But
I'm standing behind what I said. I've been saying this for over a year. I ain't gonna backtrack now. There's no point to that. Besides the opener at Mini, week 7 at Philly. I would probably say week 12 at Tampa. That was DeVito. He had a rough outing. It was rough to say the least. Baltimore, we just got stomped. Atlanta, we were running Drew Lock out there. I think Tracy had 26 yards. Those 5 games right there, that's it. That's the only ones I'm willing to concede that, you know what? We weren't close. We weren't close to accomplishing anything in those 5 games. The rest of them, winnable. I stand on that, man. Those 5 games, we were going to win that. Not what we had going on the quarterback. If we had a quarterback there, it might have been a different story, but not with DeVito and Locke.
Yeah, no. I won't give you too much pushback there, but I will say that, to kind of get back on track here, with more additions coming in the draft, I was talking with my dad about this. Something I haven't really heard anybody discussing is this interesting draft scenario that I want to pitch to you.
Okay.
If right now the current expectation, based on rumors, is Cam Ward 1 and then Abdul Carter at 2. Now, last we talked, we hadn't signed Jameis, we hadn't signed Russ. So we were saying we have to go back. We kind of have to take the quarterback. If we didn't, Shedeur, we would rather they just go BPA, but Shedeur kind of was where it would almost have to go. We now no longer have to go quarterback. But if Shador's there at 3, let's say hypothetically, New Orleans rings up the Giants and they're like, hey, we'll give you our first round pick this year, pick 9. So you're dropping all the way from 3 to 9. But we'll throw in our second round pick this year, our first round pick next year, and our third round pick next year. Something like that. Like, I don't know how those extra picks, like, guaranteed though, first this year, second this year, and first next year, plus something else from next year added on, because the Giants could then, kind of be like, hey, we know you're trading up for Shador. We don't need a quarterback because we have Russ and Jameis and DeVito. Not that DeVito is really some great piece, but but if we're trading back all the way, we're taking ourselves out of the Travis Hunter range too. We don't know who's going to be there at 9. So give us your first round pick next year as well. Do you take that? Do you take that deal?
Dude. I mean, that kind of capital, one of the reasons why I feel like we have to do something like that, I wouldn't actively seek it. I would just go BPA the entire draft. That's my plan. That's what I've been saying. But because of how we did things this year, from what I understand, we don't have any comps next year.
I don't
so
think we're gonna
moving up is not going to do it. We can't do anything next year. So we need all the draft capital we can get. So any opportunity that presents itself, especially one like that, which I'll be surprised that the Saints give us a haul like that. But if they do it or anything close to that, absolutely. There's value for areas that we need still within the top 10. Matter of fact, even outside of it. I don't know if Membo would fall that far. Probably not. But I mean, there's still some talent here that, and if it's legit first round talent, I mean, guys like Will Campbell's names keeps on getting thrown around. And one thing about him is that he fits the mold for what the Giants are obviously trying to do. We have problems with depth on our line for who knows. I can't even count how many years it's been. But I know it definitely the past 2 or 3 for sure. And all the re-signing that we talked about last week that they did, all the guys they brought back, like GVR and all these guys, guess what they all have in common? They all play multiple places on the line. So Will Campbell fits in line with that. He's right in the same ballpark as the guys that we have. High quality player, and he plays multiple positions. I mean, he's there. We could do a whole bunch of stuff. I mean, we can get Kelvin Banks from Texas. Big body, 6'5", 315. We can make our line stout. Because for me, honestly, after seeing the Super Bowl this year, I'm not saying you go get guys that are built like this, but it's like, I don't know how you beat them any other way. These guys got Goliaths on the defensive line and got Goliaths on the offensive line too. You get guys that can push back and not get pushed around and not get shoved and tossed around. So guys like Kevin Banks kind of fit the mold for that. That's great for us. So if we get to the place where we're at 9, we could do a lot of stuff. I mean, I don't know if people like Jalen Walker that much, but he's there. We could do that. I'm kind of concerned about Shamar Stewart. I heard good things about him. I'm just not really sure. I mean, his size is like, what kind of body is this? 6'5", 267. Like, what in the world? I never heard measurements like this before in the NFL. It's crazy. But I mean, these are the kind of guys that you kind of need on your, on your lines, gutting it out in the trenches for you. So to answer your question, yeah, I think I would do that. Getting a 1 and a 1 and a 2, and maybe something else too. Even if there was nothing else, just 2 1s and a 2, just to drop down 6 places. Yeah, we'd be crazy not to take that. Especially we know next year we have no comps. We're gonna need all the draft capital we can get. Absolutely. Well, all the draft capital we can get.
Speaking of the big boys, a name that I think I tagged you in a post on Twitter. I think the Giants do just need to go BPA, and I really do doubt New Orleans or the Jets or some team, who is like desperate. there's very few teams that are desperate for quarterback this year. Theoretically, it's Titans, Browns, Giants, and Steelers. And Titans have their pick at number 1. Browns theoretically could go Shador. I'm thinking that the Giants just need to go BPA, be it Carter, be it Hunter, whatever. But I was saying to you, like, I think at this point for me, my kind of dream draft scenario would go first round, Travis Hunter or Abdul Carter,
Okay.
your choice, whatever. Second round, there's 4 defensive tackles, or really 3, that I would love to target if they fall.
Okay.
Number 1, Walter Nolan out of Ole Miss. Number 2, Derek Harmon out of Oregon. And number 3, Tyleik Williams out of Ohio State. All 3 of them, I feel like, would be great pieces next to Dexter Lawrence on the offensive line. All 3 of them, Harmon and Nolan are a bit better pass rushers, but are still decent against the run. Tyleik is great against the run, not the best pass rusher. But, add that guy next to him. And third round, Tate Ratledge, 6'6", 310 guard out of Georgia. He's going to need a little bit of developmental work. I think he's got the physical tools. And now that we have an offensive line coach that I have a little bit of faith in, I'd love to see what could happen. Maybe he's not starting, but that's why we have GVR there at right guard. In the 4th round, or maybe even with our comp pick that made it up to the 3rd, you take his buddy on that Georgia offensive line, Jared Wilson, center, if JMS continues to not show the development that we necessarily want. There's no
that's not the case.
There's no Tyler Lindenbaum, center level prospect. There's no Creed Humphrey. Well, Creed Humphrey was like a 5th round pick, so it's not fair to use him. I want to find here Jared Wilson's draft profile here. Let's see. What are his measurements here? He's about 6'3", 6'4". He's another guy that's over 300 pounds. A guy like him who I'm pretty sure, he declared, right? Draft year 2025. Just get these guys in. Let's see what Priscilla can do with them on this offensive line. That way, be it Russ, be it a rookie, maybe Shador, maybe Jameis, not that Jameis is a rookie, you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Because we haven't, we've both used a ton of pieces on the offensive line in the draft previously, but not with Priscilla. Let's see what he can do.
I'm good with that. I'm concerned about Ratledge's health.
That's why I think
he doesn't seem to play a lot of games. He had 2 good years out of a 5-year stint where he played at least 13 games. I'm like, okay. I have mocked him a couple of times too. I'm like, oh, I had to go inside and do some research. I'm like, oh wow, he may fall. He may be a find late in the draft. It could be a gold mine. He may turn around and be that guy that you didn't expect. But 3rd round, I don't think I want to do it. Not that high. But we'll see though. This is. I feel like BPA is. I don't know no other route for us.
I mean, at this point, they kind of have to. I
who
think
who else could we chase? I mean, this is the BPA situation. The guys that I like that are not going to be there probably. I like Gray Zabel, but he's not going to be there. Yeah. Probably going late in the 1st round. I mean, I've been watching some tape on Josh Connolly. I think he has some goods, man. But he could be going before the 1st round is going probably as well. I mean, it's just Arante Ursary. I like him too. I mean, who knows? Walter Nolan might be going in the 1st round too.
Yeah, he might.
He's been mocked off and on. He may not even make it to the 2nd round. So I mean, I just feel like we got to just go ahead and just get BPA and get guys going to help us. And if they happen to push starters or people who are really comfortable in their position, so be it. It's a good problem to have, because we got to come in here and bring some new energy and some new fight and get back to the old Giants, the one that we grew up knowing and loving, man. Because this complacency stuff, it's not getting the job done. We're going into 14 years now of this lack of competition. So BPA is the answer to me. So in your scenario, you're taking Travis Hunter at 3 instead of Shedeur, right?
Yeah, I think
okay.
I think with the strengths of this draft, it's running back, edge rusher is not super, there's no true elite edge rusher prospect, but I think there's a bunch of good ones. Defensive tackle, I think, is pretty deep. You've got, again, not a ton of phenomenal O-line guys, but I think there's going to be a bunch of guys that are going to be pretty good. This isn't some spectacular draft with some high-level top-end prospects. But
yeah.
But Jay, a guy that I'm one of my guys is Jaden Higgins out of I think it's Iowa State, if I'm not mistaken.
I think so. Yeah.
He's a guy that I think what he's able to do is he's so smooth. He's so good. He's not getting a lot of love, but I think, his size of he's 6'3", a little over 200 pounds. He's a good route runner. He's not he doesn't have game breaking speed, but his actual game speed, what he can do everything at full game speed. You know what I mean? He's not running a 4.2 40. But, the guy who runs a 4.2 40 might be, if he hits a top speed of 24 miles per hour or something, but when he's actually running the route, all of a sudden, that speed falls off a cliff, and his actual, what he can do to create separation outside of running straight is incredibly limited. Higgins can, his actual game speed fall off is not as significant, and he can go up and get it. He wins contested catches. I probably butchered that description there, but if we're just going BPA, then I don't there's no projecting that. Who knows who's going where?
You don't know who's going to fall, but that's the fun part. I'm going to have me a blast watching this first round of this draft, knowing that BPA is probably the mindset of the franchise. I kind of feel like that's what they have to do. I think they know that, so they're not going to be reaching, because they got to build something stable enough to show some kind of marked improvement so people can keep their jobs. Nobody's saying, you know what, if you're not in the Super Bowl, you're fired. You're not in the NFC Championship, you're fired. You don't get a wild card, you're fired. I think any kind of marked improvement will buy time for this coaching staff. So I feel like they got to go BPA and get guys that are just straight up talented, that are good at playing football. Bottom line, I think there's a lot of meat on this bone, but we're going to get into it. But I want to pivot a little bit before we close the show out. We talked last week a little bit about this, and I said, let's go ahead and see if we can wait till next week and see if we can get it in. I think we got time to knock it out real quick, at least within the next 10 minutes or so. We talked about Daniel Jones last week. Now, I know he had essentially one good year, which was 2022, where he looked like a world beater and got a 4-year bag out of it. But I think one of the things that I thought was weird was going back and look at the draft. I don't normally do a draft do-over. I wanted to go back and take a look and see what actually happened, what was going on. Why did we decide what we decided, that kind of thing. We had some upheaval in our in management, put it like that, during this same time. But we were in the draft, and we had this is 2019 draft, we were. I forgot our record before that draft. I had to look it up, but I'm pretty sure that we were not in the best shape because we had three guys in the first round. Yeah, we were dead last in 2018. So we were 5-11. So we had draft picks to spare, but we happened to have three of them in the first round. Now, if you're a team that's 5-11 and you got three picks in the first round, I'm gonna tell you what I'm gonna do before we get into what actually happened. I'm gonna try to get as much draft capital as possible. I'm gonna get all 7 of these rounds up. We're not gonna go through all of them. I'm gonna get them all up just to see if I'm seeing what I think I'm seeing. But in the first round, we definitely needed a quarterback. We had some concerns there, and we didn't have anybody that we thought was competent enough to retain at the position. So we got we're down to, I think it was I'm in the first round. So Kyler Murray was the number one quarterback off of the board out of Oklahoma. You had Nick Bosa, Quinnen Williams, Cleveland Ferrell, Devin White went to Tampa, and then we were sitting there with the 6th pick. And I remember where I was when this happened. I remember the sounds that I heard in my ears when they called Daniel Jones' name from Duke. It was not good.
My reaction to that, my buddy Alex has it on camera, man. I was not happy. I was not pleased whatsoever.
My response was, "What?" I couldn't believe it. Now I know what they were trying to do. Somebody saw a little Eli in him. The Coach Cutcliffe connection is definitely there. They were trained by the same person, so they thought, you know what, this is the next Eli. I know what they were trying to accomplish, but God help us, it wasn't that. It wasn't that whatsoever. So they went ahead and picked that 6th, and I'm asking the question now openly because what should we have done? We got Dexter at 17, which was a fantastic move. Might end up being one of the best picks we've made in drafts in a draft in years. They got DeAndre Baker at 30. I was very, very lukewarm about that pick. I'm like, who? He didn't. He wasn't on my.
He was like
he wasn't on my radar.
Corner in the draft, yeah.
But he wasn't on my radar. He wasn't on my radar at all. So what could we have done? Why you getting to that? I'm gonna look at all the picks that we had and kind of map it out. But what would you have done at 6 instead of that? Because if you look down the line, look at who was picked after that. Dwayne Haskins, God rest his soul. Christian Wilkins, Rashawn Gary out of Michigan. Jonah Williams out of Alabama. Devin Bush, Josh Allen out of Kentucky. Went to the Jags. T.J. Hawkinson. Jeffrey Simmons. It just goes on and on.
All right, so let's establish a couple ground rules before we kind of get into this.
Ground rules?
Ground rules. So are we saying that, like, because theoretically, what I could say is that what the Giants should have done is take, even though he wasn't a first round pick, Max Crosby, there at 6. Like, that would have been, or AJ Brown or Terry McLaurin, some guys like that. Like, are we cheating and saying like that? And then like Dexter Lawrence still at 17. So now we have a defensive line consisting of Max Crosby and Dexter Lawrence. Like, because like if just going off of first round picks, like hindsight being 2020, what I think they should have done is taken, Chris Lindstrom. The offensive guard. Why? He's one of the best guards in football. We, obviously it's the Giants. We have offensive line issues. Eli Manning was coming up at the end of his, time there. It would have been one of those moves that theoretically could have, really helped out. Maybe he goes to the left, or maybe Will Hernandez at that time goes to the left side. Would have been just another piece on that offensive line. Obviously, Dexter Lawrence at 17 was the right choice. And then, instead of Baker, maybe we take another corner who went as the first pick of the second round, Byron Murphy, who's been okay, pretty good. I think he's had some good years.
I mean, TK's sitting in there too.
I think, if we're going wide receiver, I think the best one would have been A.J. Brown. I would rather go A.J. Brown than DK Metcalf. A.J. Brown right now is arguably a top 5 wide receiver in all of football.
Debo's in there still too.
Debo, like all these guys are great options. Jawan Taylor could have been useful. I know he's not some fantastic please. Offensive lineman. I think he's right now he's the Chiefs' right tackle.
And you know what he is? A mess. I wouldn't want that not seeing what I know now.
Better than what the Giants would have had at the time.
No, I don't think so. He's the most penalized guy probably in the league the past 2 years. He makes
but he's still decent.
Jess, he's a drive killer, man.
No, I don't entirely disagree, but I also think he's still better than Nate Solder was at that time.
That deal was just ridiculous. That's not a good example. That was a horrible deal.
That's one of the worst contracts. But if we're going round by round here, then I think again, if I'm allowed to cheat, I'm gonna say let's go Max Crosby at 6, Dexter Lawrence at 17, AJ Brown at 30, and just get the greatest draft in NFL history. If I have to keep it, at least theoretically within range there, I would say, Chris Lindstrom, a little bit of a reach theoretically, going from I think it was 16th in the draft to Atlanta to 6th for the Giants, but that would have hit a need. He's been a phenomenal player. Dexter Lawrence, obviously, at 17. I would say at 30 instead of Baker, let's go Byron Murphy, or maybe even, again, cheat a little bit. Let's go.
He was available though. He was available. If we traded back into Murphy, if we traded back instead of taking Baker, he was right there.
Yeah.
Without question.
We chose Baker over him. We took the first corner in the draft, and that was Baker.
I mean, Crosby's in the 4th round, man. I mean, we didn't have a chance to get him if we waited. That's why we took Julian Love, I guess, because Crosby already went in the fourth with the 4th pick of the 4th round. But if we had decided to just, there's so many things we could, instead of getting Jimenez, we decided to trade back. We could have got Crosby or picked them early in the 3rd round. I mean, we could have did so many different things. I don't. Looking back at this draft, now I almost regret that I did it. Now I feel sad. What were we thinking? Why did we pick these people?
We had Dave Gettleman as a GM. That's pretty much the thought process beyond every draft he had. Everybody talks about him he's so much of a better drafter than Shane. I mean, one of Gettleman's draft, his final draft for us, not a single player from that draft class remains on our roster, and those guys' rookie contracts are just now kind of coming up.
Yeah, this
not a single one of them made it through their contract for us.
Yeah,
obviously Saquon was a hit, but he could have done a lot better than Saquon. I think looking back, I think obviously Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, in my opinion, I still think those actually would have been the wrong picks, simply because they do not become who they are today if they were drafted to the Giants in 2018. They just do not.
Yeah.
I think theoretically we should have done essentially what the Colts did. Trade back, take Quentin Nelson. Get the guard, maybe even still draft Hernandez in the 2nd round. Just you want to extend Eli's career? let's just get the greatest conceivable offensive line. And hindsight's 2020. I was so excited about the Saquon pick. I was so excited. But obviously not exactly the pick that was some grand game changer that we had truly hoped it would be.
I was not with this offensive line. Now he's thriving where he is, so it's like, wow, look at that.
Yeah, I don't
back and doing the draft read.
I don't want to rehash the same.
I don't know.
Depressed.
I don't. Honestly, I feel like at some point we're gonna have to talk about it, but not on this night. I'm still bummed about the 2019 draft. I'm like, why did I go back and do this draft? If I decide to do a draft do-over ever again, don't let me do it, because this was
one. The real interesting one for the Giants, I feel like, if we really wanted to hurt ourselves, just do 2021 all over again.
You do it. You do it next week, and I'll sit here and watch, because the pain for me is palpable. I'm like, why do we make O'Shea and Jimenez? Why do we do this? Based on what?
That's the story of.
I just don't understand. And I know hindsight is 2020. You mentioned it a couple of times, but my God. This is rough, but honestly, we are at a place now, and we're close to the end of the show now. But I think we have a chance to make a marked difference. I mean, this is really it right here. We can do some things here. And I think this draft is the way we play this. This is going to be a job-defining draft for several people. This is going to be a big. I'm
2023 all over again. Shane and Dable are gone. If it's another 2024, with how that theoretically is looked, again, it's been 1 year. Don't want to get out of our skis, but it looks like a very promising draft. If we have another 2024, some immediate impact, some big hits, who knows? Maybe we do hit that 7-win mark and are drafting 14th. It's one of those things where I think theoretically the best case scenario for the Giants as a team might be that this year ends up being a big bust and we get a top pick for a quarterback next year. But I'm never going to be rooting for that. I'm going to be rooting for wins. I'm going to be rooting for success. Let's go. Let's nail this. Let's knock this draft out of the park. And, if we have to sell the farm to trade up to draft a quarterback, but we've got all these great pieces around him, kind of coming in. Maybe we do that.
Well, we're going to see. The draft is coming up. It's upon us. But until then, we're talking to hopefully some awesome guests and speculating about the NFL draft and what we're going to be doing in the rest of free agency. If we're going to be doing any more spending, or we're just looking to the draft now. So always a lot to talk about when it comes to the Giants, but we're excited about the journey. And despite the years they've had, this is our team, and we love them. Mm-hmm. Go Big Blue.
Forever. That's why we're the lifers.
That's right. That's the reason why we're on this trip for until the end. But thank you guys for watching Big Blue Lifers. We are excited about you guys being here with us. Of course, drop any questions or comments you have for us on our social media platforms and, of course, the YouTube channel. Let us know what you think about the show. We're having fun with it, and we are excited about what's coming up for the Giants. Dump with them all you want. I think the future is a lot brighter than it has been in the past 13 years, so we're excited, man. But have a great day. I'm Mr. U. That's Jess. We're out.